The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for this webinar RDM 13 live in action with all great new features, many different improvements. We're gonna showcase maybe 4 or 5 features today. We're right in Remote Desktop Manager 13. So I'm Max. I'm VP Sales and Marketing here at Devolutions. So you can see me on the cam. Hey guys, I'm here today with Maurice. Hey Maurice, how are you?
Hello. Fine.
Great. And I'm also with Hans. Hans is going to be leading the webinar today.
Hello.
He's going to be showcasing all the different features in Remote Desktop Manager 13. As you can see today, we have great weather here in Montreal.
And it's nothing.
For some of you guys, this might be like winter. Here we actually play tennis in these conditions here in Montreal. So that's not that bad. If we're ready, I think just before we get started, you guys can see on your right panel, maybe at the bottom right or on the right panel, there's this question box where you can ask questions along the presentation, and we'll try to answer all these questions along the way. If not, well, at the end we're gonna have maybe 5, depending on the timing. We're gonna have 5-10-minute Q&A session. If you have questions for us, for Maurice and Hans and myself, I think we're ready to go.
Let's go.
Ready, guys?
Yep.
All right. So what's new in RDM 13? Hans, the mic is yours.
Hey, thank you, Max. Well, let me start by simply listing all the different changes and improvement, a few of them anyway, in RDM 13. First of all, the templates configuration is now embedded in an embedded tab instead of a model window. And also the templates entry are just shared from now on. So that's one of the changes. You could create your custom folder in the favorite entries. That's also a new thing. And just as an information, the RTF format is no longer supported when we write description, and you'll see later on what we did. And there's a new offline mode configuration directly on the entry. So the ones that are familiar with the offline mode will maybe find this interesting. And there's a new mode, not a mode, but a security right. It's called a move under the restricted user. So you can specify very precise security right under the restricted user if they allowed or not to move entries. And there's an automatic lock on the property while editing. So anybody who is editing a property on the shared entry, you cannot, there will be a kind of overlay lock on the entry to show that it's not accessible right now.
Got it.
So those are some little change. And also there's new entry types to add to all those hundreds of different ones that we have. There's integration with the true key password management. So you could create your account with the credential entry. You could create also a session with the TFTP if you have some. And if you do have a Google Drive, you can enter your account to open that session directly in RDM. So that's new. And we created a new information type that it's called application send key. And the application send key is actually a way to maybe open an internal exe and just send key the user password. Very simple. Again, to centralize all your entries. So those are the few changes and improvement. And I would like to focus a little bit on the new features, which will be our main demonstration today. So we have the checkout check-in on the entry and the time-based access usage. So those two are very nice features, especially for controlling the access, and we'll go further on those. There's the new documentation tab per entry, which will be able to edit some information. We'll see also the tag manager, which is linked to the great feature of tags on the entries, but you'll be able to manage very well. And there is a new way to pull up out all the embedded tabs in a window container. So within RDM to be able to really put several sessions in a window container. So we'll demonstrate that too.
For users who are using multiple monitors, this is a great one, I think.
That's right. That's right.
Now everyone has multiple monitors. So.
All right, looking forward to seeing all those new features. So checkout, check-in.
Yeah, that's right. So let's go directly in my demonstration RDM. So I'll show you a little bit my stuff here.
There you go.
Oh, here I have RDM open, and now if I want to show you my checkout check-in, I have here I have a session which I did configured in the properties. It's under the security, and there's a checkout mode. Actually, there's two modes, and there's an automatic and a manual mode. Actually, the checkout, what it does is it's like a reservation of the entry. So, or let's say that you, it's like you go to the library and you check out a book. So you have it for a while, and after you check it back in. So the automatic mode is quite simple actually, because it will automatically check out as you open the session. So the checkout is really when you open the session, and also it permits you to add a comment of why you're checking out this session, and it will open exactly that entry. And while you're doing that, because it's a checkout mode, nobody else, let's say if I switch, I simulate that I'm switching as another user that is shared, I will not be able at all to use or edit or copy password on that entry because it's checked out.
We can see there's an overlay on the icon right there that says, all right, this session is checked out at the moment. You cannot access it. And that's why we see the open session is grayed out. The icon is grayed out.
Also,
so
yeah.
And not available.
That's right. And even in the right click here, all the option is pretty much grayed out because it really locks the reserve the entry. Actually,
yeah, it's quite small, and I think you mentioned that there is an overlay for while you are editing the session as well. So it's a new type of visual cue that we've added to your navigation panel.
And why would you want to check out the session like that?
Yeah, so mostly for control and compliance reasons, and as well for maintenance purposes. Let's say you're going to reboot that server 5 or 6 times because you're doing a massive upgrade. So you want to make sure that no one else is interfering with your work.
Okay.
That's where actually the second mode, manual mode, will have that flexibility, because in the manual mode, if I have one here, I think here, is that you have to actually click on the action checkout. So that means that you could check out the entry without even opening the session. So for different reasons, maintenance, or maybe your customer at the other end is closing for whatever reason, doing maintenance. So you could actually check it out without even open. So again, you could write a comment. And also, because it's manual, obviously you need to manually check it back in. You can do it manually, but also you can specify a maximum of time. It will automatically check in after a period of time, if ever you know exactly what be that time.
Yeah.
But anyway else, if it is checked out manually like this, you can, after that, check it in with the same action button here that it's called check-in. And while it's check out, again, I didn't open the session, it's just reserved. So we do have that overlay indicating to the other user that it's not available. So it's clear. And also, even if they try, actually, you have a message that indicates that it's checked out by who?
By the user.
Yeah.
By that user.
In the past, you could already do that with our status features. You'd have a lock or disabled or warning, but the limitation was that it worked only for embedded tabs.
Okay.
Now with this better version of that feature, it works for external sessions as well.
Okay. And is there so my sessions are checked out? Is there a report or a way to see which sessions are actually checked out at the moment?
Yeah, actually, especially for the manual checkout, because you don't have to open the session and it will be there for a while. As an administrator user in the administration reports, there's a specific report that lists all the current checkout session. So it will tell you the name of the session, the user who actually checked it out, and since when, and actually the comments. So that's one good thing. So if you want to manage a little bit that, and it's important to know that the user who checked it out is the one that needs to check it in, but the administrator user has that right to check it in.
That's important.
Okay.
All
So
right.
that's one feature. And if I go, I will just check in back at this session, and I'll show you the time-based access, which is also another way to limit or control some access. Is that it permits to specify when you're allowed to open that session.
Yeah.
So let's say that I have one here. If I try to open this, because I did set up a time-based usage, whoops, a second, I will be as a user, because one other thing is that when you have a time-based user, as an admin, you bypass that rule. So the admin
Just
user,
for the admin.
that's right.
Okay.
So if I'm in under a user, if I try to open the session, it will say that it cannot be open at this time. So as an admin or any person who has a right to edit the entry can actually set it up. It's in the properties under the security also, so that's a time-based usage. So you have some choice here. You could say that this session could be open only weekdays or weekends or specific days. You could customize that. And also you can customize the time of the day. So either at any time or a specific range of time. So that is specific for per entry.
I understand, obviously, for security reasons, right? You would want to say these sessions are only available during weekdays, but maybe Maurice, can you tell me a bit more and tell us a bit more on the typical use case for that specific feature in RDM?
Yeah, but, you know, compliance and regulations, they change all the time, and now it's a best practice to control access to sensitive servers. So if you need to be PCI compliant or HIPAA compliant, those servers that give access to the kingdom, you must control when and from where you are connecting to that device. So using our jump feature, you could control from within the office who connects to a server, and using now with that time-based access, even with the checkout, you can control specifically who and when one of your staff can connect to a server.
So these are all new security features that seem to work end in end, or I mean, these are all improvements.
Yeah, those are all settings that reach the same goal. Controlling access.
There you go. All right.
Great. So if I go to the next nice feature, it's we call that the documentation. So some of you who maybe already updated, it's quite obvious that there's been a new tab added directly in the panel. For each entry, and actually for even folder entry, you have that possibility to edit this tab documentation. As a default, after the update, what we see in the documentation is actually a template. And because we're using a common editor, it's called a Markdown.
Pretty standard, I think.
That's right. So what we did is that in the documentation, we associated a template that it's a tutorial for the Markdown to help how to edit. So that's why for each entry under the documentation, you do have something, but actually it's the tutorial. And you have the editor at the bottom where it permits to really see what you have to put as a code. And one nice thing, it's the split here that permits you to see what you're doing as you monitor, you edit. That's right. And there's actually there's a bunch of little shortcuts here that helps you actually to build this.
Create this kind of wiki page, right?
That's right. It is a kind of wiki because you could create your own template on top of that. Okay, so if you have a structure that you want to see like on the home page, and on top of that, you could even add some page. So based on the same tutorial template or your own, or like simply empty empty page. So you could just create another page. So here you would edit the second page, and you will have actually home page and second page and so on. So you could put plenty, and you could even insert some image and all that stuff. So it's pretty handy, and actually it will probably give lighter access to the database because it's all text within the entry.
Yeah, it's the reason we removed support from RTF because in the past, if you needed to store information, it had to be within the entries themselves, and it introduced issues when the size of the entries was too great, and it reduced performance. Now with that tab, it's much richer, and it's much easier to maintain. It's easy to learn. In 10 minutes, you know how to get around that new feature, and it's also available offline, which was the big disadvantage of our attachments.
Yeah,
So if you needed to store a bill or an invoice for a device, it used to be in an attachment, and now you have the choice to mix and match for whatever needs you have.
There you go.
Great. Cool. Okay, so let's go to my next little feature.
Tag manager.
Tag manager. Well, tags, for those who already know about tags, it's very helpful for the search entry.
It was available in RDM.
It used to be called keywords/tags.
Yeah, that's
now
right.
We've simplified to only tags.
And this is so the new feature is the tag manager in RDM 13, right?
Yeah, it's a manager because usually it's to search, like I say, and you could apply different tags. In the overview now, you really see clearly all the different words, the tag words that are associated to an entry. And if I just review, and if you just a little bit, when you edit the entry in the more section, you have the tags here. And we did have a tag selection. So you could select one more, you could add one more, remove, but it would be per entry. But because the search is usually you'll assign tags to several entries at the same time with the same tag. Let's say if I search with the key filter at the bottom here, it will show me the group of entry that with that same tag.
Yeah.
So the tag manager actually is an edit function, which if I highlight several entries, I would see the tag manager, and it will show me all the tags that belongs to those 4 entry. And you have the ability here to make sure that those 4 has exactly the same value, or you could maintain and say, well, I'm going to remove. So let's say all those were at this tag of 2016. And now that on those 2, because it was all together, and now with the tags, I could remove this tag from those 2. So it's like a batch edit tag manager.
Yeah.
So you could work on tags for a group of entries at the same time, because usually the tags will group them together.
And how could this be used? Let's say a DBA. For DBA that needs to access different databases, how can this feature be used for an IT technician or DBA or
Well,
services
you
out
know,
there.
our typical folders, they're used to organize by following your infrastructure.
Mhm.
But when you think of roles like a DBA or like your Exchange admin, sometimes the servers don't have a naming convention that you have control over or that follows your own
Yeah.
favorite way of ending things. So by setting tags on your SQL servers or MySQL servers, the DBA simply has to look for that tag. So wherever they are in your tree view, again, which follows typically your organization infrastructure, but they can locate all of these entries.
They do a quick search at the bottom left, as you can see right now, and
Yeah.
all the different sessions or data sources or database are going to show up in the tree.
Yes.
Great.
Right.
Time's running out. I think not running out, but there's some time left for this great last feature,
Yes.
the window container.
The window container, actually, it's a different way to work. Most of the ones that works with the session that you open embedded within RDM, you see I had a couple of sessions here open. We add and we still have the display to undock, meaning that on one session, I could actually say I want to undock the session, so I could move it to another screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Whoops, I just want to go back. Okay. Sorry about that.
All right.
There you go.
Oh, no, that's not the right one, but let's go. I'm going to reconnect my.
Multiple. It's RDM inception.
Mhm. So this is mainly it's a window container where you can store different tabs while you're in the multi-monitor. If you have multi-monitors, you can extract a window where you can place different tabs in it, so that you can work on both monitors, for example.
Yeah, right. Well, if you're talking about the undock feature,
Well, we used to have the undock feature, right?
Yes.
This is a bit different, though.
yeah, because
Yeah.
the undock feature creates one container per session, so you have to control them individually. And the disadvantage was they left an empty tab in your remote desktop manager.
That's right.
Now with the new mode,
Which I'm gonna show you right now. So I took a tab now and I'm gonna just pull it out from the main RDM container and I'm gonna create another one.
Mhm.
And I could put several tab at the same on that same window container.
Mhm.
So it permits me actually to have different session. Let's say that you have different session like a console, a couple of server from one customer. You want just to put them aside on another monitor and still have RDM to work on other things. So now that's the possibility. So it's a multiple tab under the window container.
And I think it supports split screen for, let's say, different, if you have multiple SSH sessions open up at the same time, you could split the screen into.
yeah, when she drops the tab in the container, maybe you can move it about. You will see a control there.
There you go.
Yeah. So you decide where
Okay.
that tab will be docked.
Mhm.
So it's the same, this window, and it's really titled Remote Desktop Manager because it's the same logic that the one that we see actually in RDM. So it's just an extra,
I think it's pretty
window.
handy, right? It's
Yeah.
for usability. I think it's great.
Again, for your DBA, you would have these sessions on one other window and still have his RDM
Running.
running. So it's much easier to control which sessions go where,
Mhm.
and you can imagine having two external monitors easily with that setup.
Got it.
Right.
All right. I think we have some time left. I think for some questions from our viewers. I don't know if you guys have questions on the new features that we saw on different different functionalities in RDM 13. Let's see.
We have a documentation question about the template. Could you show that, please?
Yeah. Actually, if you want in the root setting, you can. That's where you would specify it. You could create your template within the editor tool. Okay, if you want to know how to do that markdown, you could edit this and just copy the full thing. And really, after that, in the root setting, under the settings here, you have documentation, and you can manage those templates. So as I said before, the default for all documentation is the tutorial. You could specify that would open always empty without tutorial. And you could have your custom template, which you would name them. So you could manage those templates and create, like here I had one, and I could have another one here, and just paste exactly the way that you want your
documentation to be built.
to be built exactly. And after that, you could specify that this is the way that it's by default the template for all documentation of all entries.
Rule settings for those that do not use repositories, they're unique per repositories, obviously. So it's a way to separate your sessions in multiple compartments, I like to say. So it's a great way to increase performance and control, have a simpler, maybe security system. So repositories are going to be put forward a lot in the future, but that's what the root settings are, because you have your system settings in the administration tab, which apply to the whole system, and then you have the root settings, which apply to your repository.
Got it. We have another question here on do all these new features are supported in the different data sources? I guess the meaning is, do all these new features in RDM 13 are supported through all the different data sources that we support?
The three first I did there is the checkout, check-in, time-based documentation are for an advanced database SQL. Okay, so that's for sure because it's in the structure of the database.
So you mean SQL Server, Devotion Server?
Devolutions Server, right, because it uses SQL Server. And the tag manager in the window container is part of the RDM UI, so it's available in all data sources.
Okay. So I don't know.
Good question.
I don't know if we have other questions before we let you go. I think we're all good, right?
Yeah, we're all good. On time.
On time.
Yeah.
Yep. So I invite you guys, if you want to, of course, get your hands on RDM 13, visit our website, remotedesktopmanager.com, devolutions.net. You can always contact us if you have any questions or need help regarding these new features. So maybe Maurice can tell us a bit more about the different ways to contact us, contact our team, your team, and my team.
Yeah, we're putting a lot of effort in the support department. So you have the phone, you have the chat. We even have now a call me feature.
Yeah, on our website.
Email is still offered, but honestly, we're moving towards tickets. You have the forums, the blog, online help, obviously, a lot of content there. We have 1,300 topics, and we even have direct links to tutorials. By the way, the role-based security system has its own video, so we reach a subject, but you have a lot of content available online. Just to draw your attention at the bottom of that screen, in the future, we'd like for you to use always that submit a support ticket feature. Right now, it will still be handled by email for most of you guys, but we have a ticket system coming into play, and those of you that have the premium or extended support plans already use a ticketing system. But we're going to be moving the community support all on the ticketing system.
With the same level of customer service, of course.
So you see that in the help menu of RDM, you have access to all pretty much of different ways, the online help, the support ticket. So while you're working in RDM, you could easily have access to those support ways.
Perfect. All right, so I think that's all for us today. The webinar has been recorded, so we're going to send the recording to you in the upcoming days for you to review these new features again. And that's it.
Thank
Thanks.
you all. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.